chip which has, if I remember correctly, 6 8-core segments on one chip. So we're talking about 48 cores. And their application seems to be cloud computing, which is actually quite clever, because one of the things that's kind of held back multi-core development is the lack of applications for it. A lot of things can only run on one core. But with this cloud computing really taking off nowadays, this is just a great application for it. If you have 48 cores, well, you just have 48 people logged in using one each, and you can service 48 people at the same time. So that seems to be the way things are going. And you know, that at some point in the next couple of years we'll see this in the market, and of course our cluster will be able to run on that. Our clustering software will be able to take advantage of, for example, this 48 core chip.
Is there any level of computational power beyond which you only see diminishing returns? Let me ask that question another way. How could cluster Rybka absorb, let's say, 1,000 cores or even more? Well,
diminishing returns comes about in two forms. One is simply the nature of chess itself. As you get better, it becomes harder to beat you, and you just get more draws. So the ELO difference starts to shrink, you know, as the programs get stronger. There's definitely that. Although actually, I'm kind of surprised at how weak that trend is. I mean, you know, I remember there's people who used to think that like 2900 ELO would be the perfect chess, and that's, of course, now, you know, that's totally ridiculous. The second way in which you get diminishing returns is, you know, as you add more and more computational power, more in terms of the number of CPUs, it becomes harder and harder to get them to work together. So for example, let's say I want to have 4 cores or 8 cores working together. Well, that's really easy. I mean, any stupid algorithm can do that. But let's say you want to have 70 cores or 200. Now, very simple things don't work anymore. It's like, you know, the normal analogy is 200 people trying to make one sandwich. You run out of things for people to do. And so you definitely need more creative solutions as the number of cores increases.
I'm looking like further out right now. In 10 years, it's really almost beyond my imagination what kind of computational power we could have. What's your ultimate goal in chess programming? What are you reaching for?
Well, actually, I don't really have an ultimate goal from that point of view. So right now, I just want to build up Rybka's ELO advantage. I feel like this is kind of what I've revolved everything around. So I'm going to build that up and do whatever I can to make sure that it's mine, that I can stay on top of that kind of ELO competition. And then hopefully, you know, go into 2 other directions. One is other aspects of chess besides just ELO. Things like different personalities, things like visualizing chess knowledge or training aids, things like realistic human-like blunders, and so that's one thing. And then the other thing is maybe go into some other games, for example, poker or Go. So I start with chess and kind of build that up, and then this is kind of my goal. I don't have any goal to like solve chess or to play perfectly or anything like that.
Some weeks ago we learned in the Rybka forum that you are planning to provide a service where individuals can rent a number of late model CPUs, and these CPUs then would use the latest version of Rybka that is available. In other words, a version that is between major releases. What do you call this offering? What is its name?
Well, I don't have a name yet. That's on my to-do list, is to get some kind of a you know, catchy name for it. But okay, we can call it Remote Rybka, let's say. Okay,
so what's your target market, and why would they be interested in renting computer time?
It's an excellent question. First of all, my target market is everybody. Is every single chess player who wants to analyze with a chess engine. And why would they want to use rental Rybka as opposed to running a computer at home? There's a number of advantages. There's actually a really long list of advantages. This is a model which is being used now or being gravitated towards in a lot of different software sectors. For chess, there's 3 main advantages which kind of stand out from the others. The first one is chess players typically travel. You know, they go to tournaments to travel, and when they travel, they don't have their home desktops. They can't take their home desktops with them. So what they usually do is they take their laptop, and it's a much weaker computer. A lot of times, I know one very, very strong chess player who analyzes with a laptop at home. because otherwise it's just too annoying for him to transfer everything over when he goes on the road. So by being able to connect to these central machines, you let people connect regardless of where they are right now. They can connect from their laptop, they can connect from their desktop, they can check their analysis with an iPhone or with a pocket PC. It's just, the power travels with that. That's number one. The number two thing is, it gives them access to the latest Rybka version, which is very, very important. Because usually, let's say every 8 months or so, I improve Rybka enough that getting the newest Rybka version is as good as doubling your hardware. Doubling your hardware speed, which is really, really expensive, and a lot of people do that. So, being able to use the latest Rybka version has tremendous value for the people who really want the best. And then the third thing is, it lets people share hardware costs. I mean, let's say, for example, you want to have a really strong machine and you want to use it 2 hours per day. Well, there is no reason to have your computer sitting at home, depreciating in value for the other 22 hours per day. Other people should be able to use it. Because hardware, especially bleeding edge hardware, really cuts down in price very quickly. So this is another factor.
So you think this really makes economic sense? I mean, who would it not make sense to?
Well, first of all, yes, absolutely. It makes total and absolute economic sense. I mean, the model of running your own engine, which is up to 18 months old on your own computer, is ridiculous from the point of view of the net worth. Now, there are some users for whom this makes more sense than for others. So if you're, for example, if you're paying for your own hardware to use for computer chess, then this kind of a service is a complete no-brainer for you. If, on the other hand, you've got some kind of a computer at home, and it's not bad, but you need it for other things, and then you use it for chess in your downtime, then you're going to be a little bit tougher for me to reach. It means I'll need to provide more ELO to make it worth your while. So those are the kind of customers who might have more trouble with it. And of course, there are people out there who don't really care about strength that much, and who don't want the hassles of having to be online for the internet. So they'll be still using, the normal version, of course.
Yeah. What about people who use their computers 24/7 for chess? Is it economical for them?
Yeah, absolutely. It needs to be. It will be, and it needs to be. Again, with the only exception is if you have a computer which you need for other things, so your hardware costs don't really count as chess hardware costs, and then you use it during your downtime for chess. That's the hardest case. But if you go and you buy a computer just for computer chess, then this is a total win for you.
Can people rent as many cores as they want, or is there an upper limit, and if so, what might it be?
Well, in general, this service is going to work like other services of its kind. There's going to be different strengths of package that you can rent. The cheapest one, of course, will be the weakest one, and that will also have the best overall value. If you want to rent a cluster, you're going to have to pay a premium. That's just how these kind of things work. You can, of course, also rent, let's say, 3 or 4 cheap versions at the same time and put them together in your own way. For example, the new Idea and Aquarium allows this. So that's a way to get more value from this for high-end users.
So if someone were to rent a large number of cores, I presume they would be scalable in the same way Cluster Rybka is scalable?
Well, you will, first of all, let me just say a more general thing. You're not going to rent a number of cores specifically. You're going to rent a package which has a certain strength. And it's kind of my business to make sure that you get that strength. So if you want to rent the strongest thing, of course it's going to be a cluster, because that's how I make the strongest thing. But you won't necessarily be renting, you shouldn't think of it that way. You're just renting something which has a certain strength and for which you pay a certain rate. And on my end, I will use clusters.